everyone. It's Lucrative LinkedIn Live. It's Wednesday, it's noon, and we're talking LinkedIn and how to build a sustainable business using LinkedIn. And, that's really the key, isn't it? Because we're all here for one reason, and that is not just to spend time here. We're here because we want to build a business, and LinkedIn is the absolute best platform to do so. So hang on just a second here. The gentleman sitting here to my, I don't know, would you be on? Depends on what way you're looking. I'm not even going to attempt that one, Ramesh. I am here with Ramesh Dewangan. Okay. I apologize, Ramesh. I am trying, but I am so glad to have Ramesh here because he is the founder and CEO of Quantum Vision Consulting. And I met Ramesh a while back in a group that we both belong to, and I am just so impressed with everything he knows about leadership and how to become the best leader that you can. So I asked him if he might spend some time with me. So let me tell you a little bit about Ramesh. He works mainly with career and leadership coaching with experienced professionals. So if you're in that position and you're wanting to move further in your leadership career, this is the guy to help you. He's a best-selling author and a certified coach, speak, and trainer with the John Maxwell team. So you John Maxwell fans, and I know there are a bunch of you out there, Ramesh speaks your language. He's led global teams in the high-tech industry in areas like global like software development, product management, and marketing. So pretty much everything you need to know in that high-tech industry. And he's actually helped launch several new products, which I think a lot of you will be interested in. Now, he has what I think of as the golden combination in education. He's electrical engineering, right, Ramesh? Yeah, electrical engineering from the Engineering Institute, or the leading engineering institute in India. That's NITK, and also an MBA from the Haas School of Business at the University of California, Berkeley. And some of you may not know that I spend the early parts of my career both recruiting and placing engineers. And I always encourage them to get that combination, because the combination of knowing the engineering plus having that MBA knowledge, I mean, that is golden. So I am so excited to have you here, Ramesh. And he's also, get this, I should be quiet now because I'm in the presence of a master. He's a distinguished Toastmaster from Toastmasters International, and he has a number of courses. One which is a 6-week growth boot camp, and I think that's going to be in October, right, Ramesh? Yes. You're launching that then. And right now he currently is teaching a course through a university. So we'll get into that too, and how you can get situated with that course. But first, Ramesh, could you just take a minute and tell us a little bit about your journey here, how you got to this point?
Sure, Duman. So nice of you to have invited me here. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, good. I'm so excited too. Oh, look, we're getting comments too. One from Pakistan, and one person's getting a flight. She's looking forward to the replay. So, but that's cool. She thought enough to check in on us. So, I'm sorry, Ramesh, I interrupted you. Just take it away.
Not a problem. Yeah. So I grew up in India. Right? I was an introvert growing up. I had really tough time making connections, and I was shy about opening up. In fact, a lot of that has to do with the fact that I had to leave my parents at the age of 11 to do my school for further studies in schooling. The town where my father worked had school only up to 5th grade. So when I completed my 5th grade, I had to move away from my parents and go to a place which was 6 hours train journey, and complete my education, high school education there. I
Wow.
remember when I was leaving the town, I was so sad because I was leaving all my friends, my family, my two adorable sisters behind.
Oh, yeah.
And my mother came to a railway station to drop me. And just when the train was about to leave, she suddenly remembered that my water bottle had no water. So she said, "Hey, Ramesh, give me the water bottle. I'm going to fill it up and give you." And she went to fill. And as the fate would have it, the train started speeding a little. And by the time she turned around, it had sped up. So I couldn't even say bye to my mom. So
Yeah.
I
Oh.
was in trauma for many months after that, probably for a year. Anyway, so after completing my studies, I joined a startup in India, a startup which failed. They didn't even have money to pay me my
Okay.
salary. And within few months, my all savings dried up. And they
Sure.
sent us abroad for an assignment, and they wouldn't even give us enough allowance to live there. It was in Germany. We went to a city called Hamburg.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there we used to look for a cheap restaurant where we could afford the food. So ultimately, we found a cheap restaurant somewhere in downtown, and it was in a dingy place, and that's all we could afford. Nonetheless, I changed the job. I said, "Hey, this is not going to work." I took the courage and prepared myself
Good
to
for you.
change, and ultimately, I joined a U.S. multinational in Bangalore, in India. That was very good from technical setup point of view, and I was able to do some real good things. However,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was working very hard. I was working long hours. I wasn't spending time with family. I wasn't taking vacation. And whenever it came to promotion or career advancement, I wasn't getting any support from management.
Mm-hmm.
I would say my career had stalled. But the worst was when they asked me to go for a job assignment abroad when my daughter was only 12-day old. 12-day
Oh,
old, not 12 months, not 12 years, 12 day.
yeah.
That really drained me emotionally because I really felt like my family needed me, my wife needed me, my daughter needed me, and I had to leave them just because I really had no influence at work and I couldn't say no to the assignment. So I decided to do something about it. I started taking some people skills training. I did some university course. I I assigned myself some mentors, career
Mm-hmm.
mentors who will help me. And I prepared and prepared. And it took us some very high visibility international projects. Ultimately, a Silicon Valley company in California gave me a job offer too good to refuse.
Yeah, cool.
Yes. So I was about debating, oh, should I move there or not move there? Because it's a big move, right? I mean, there's different
Yeah.
challenges. They're culturally very different. But I got a sweet phone call from my employer, and they sent me a nice gift as well, welcoming me to the new company. I said, okay, you know what? This is looking like a positive sign.
Yeah. Yeah. They wanted you. That makes a big
Yeah,
difference.
that's right. Nice thing was that there was a call that I came to me when I was in Bangalore, and this call was from an international mover who wanted to move my stuff to US. I said, "What are we going to move? I mean, come on! I mean, what will I move?" And he said, "Well, anything you say, sir. We have been assigned to move anything that you would like to." I said, What did people move?" "Oh, they'll move all kinds of things. They move sofa set." I said, "Sofa? My sofa is like shaking and tattering here. When you put it in a truck, it will break right there." And then they said, "What about any appliances?" I said, "Appliances like what? Refrigerator? My refrigerator makes so much noise that I can't even sleep in the night." I said, "I'm not going to take whatever." Then he gave up. He said, "You know what? Probably you don't have stuff to move, so that's fine." And then that's how I landed with my wife, two kids, and two suitcases at San Francisco airport about 30 years ago. And I've never looked back again. And I really took off, my career took off from there on.
Yeah, I
However,
know you work for some pretty big companies in the Silicon Valley,
right, right.
right?
Yes, exactly. So these are, I was more in semiconductor business, which is very leading edge. We used to call bleeding edge,
Yeah.
because these are the companies which are doing state of art, very advanced
Hmm.
microchips, and that's the one that powers everything, all appliances and so on. In
Sure.
fact, one of the companies I worked for called Real Intent we did a software which was bought by Apple, and they used that software to design M1 chip that goes into iPhone
Oh, very
13.
cool.
So
Very
I
cool.
have iPhone 13 here, and so this was possible only because of the software that we created.
So you helped make the iPhone a success.
Yes,
Okay. And then you also went for your MBA.
that's
Did you?
right. So
And you?
when I worked at a company called Synopsys at that time, and my team size started growing a lot, and I had trouble having some organizational skills. Without good organizational skills, I couldn't really manage large teams, and I also had trouble connecting with folks. And I had more product responsibility. So I said MBA is the right thing to do. I also was in engineering side of things before, and I wanted to get more feel of the business side of things because I felt
Hmm.
like people who know business they really can get more ahead in the career. So I decided to do MBA from Berkeley. It was very demanding time because the work was
Hmm.
demanding and the course was demanding. And I really, for 2 to 3 years, I barely attended any social parties. I
Sure.
barely attended my son's soccer games. I
Uh,
did not do attend their birthday parties. And so, really, I was absentee parent.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
when you're focused on something, you got to just be determined and go for it rather than getting
Yes,
distracted.
absolutely. But it is harder when you're balancing family obligations and work and all that too. So you have had not only a varied but a very storied career, and you've done some really cool things. Um, I wonder, Ramesh, if you would share a few of your leadership strategies and tips with our audience, because I think everyone here is trying to learn how to hone their skills in the leadership area.
Right, sure. So actually, John C. Maxwell, I'm a big disciple of him. He he talks about 5 levels of leadership. In fact, he has written a book called 5 Levels of Leadership.
Okay.
And according to that, the leadership maturity or the influence of leadership goes through 5 levels. First
The
level begins,
influence of leadership. Okay.
yeah, 5 levels of leadership. And there are 5 P's he talks about. First P is position, positional leadership. That's where everyone begins. I became a
Mhm.
manager, so I'm a leader. I became a director, so I'm a leader. Okay,
And
that
those
is
aren't necessarily the same things at all.
no,
I
exactly.
found that out the hard way.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so that is limited influence leadership level because you get people to follow you because of your title, because of your position, not
Hmm.
because they want to follow you. They'll do
Hmm.
exactly as per the roles and responsibility boundaries. They'll be, if you ask them to do something extra, they'll say, no, not today, sir. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got my family to take care of whatever, right? That is the first level. Second level we call permission, but basically it is relationship based leadership, where you develop relationship, you connect with people, you understand their motivation, you understand their care abouts, you understand their vulnerabilities and their weaknesses, but you nurture them. And when you build that level of relationship, then people will do a lot more than what you ask them to do. They'll surprise you with their output.
Hmm.
That is the right level to be in. Third level, as he calls it, product level. Now that you got team, you connect with team, but you got to show that you are really you can achieve something for the company. You can get some good products out, you can get some good results
Hmm.
out, you can achieve some milestones where people will know you that this guy did that. Okay, that is absolutely important. That's the third level.
Okay.
And fourth level is people development. You not only develop your team members, you develop leaders. John
Okay.
C. Maxwell says that 70% or 80% of the leaders develop followers. 15%
Gotcha.
develop uh, other team leaders and things like that. But rest, really, you have to develop the next level of leadership for the company that will take over the company, and that is what you need for the people development.
Okay.
So, and then the final is a big, that's like your industry expert, and you're known for your philosophy and things like that. That is very high level. That's like
Yeah,
pinnacle.
that's
We call it pinnacle. I don't want to delve into that. That's too high. I mean, if you're
yeah,
good at
I
the levels, you're good. Okay.
so you have to pick your P
Yeah.
basically, and do it that way. Well, that's very interesting. And yeah, I think we have in this country certainly seen examples of those different leadership styles and different leadership levels. And I think you make a really good point there in that it's it has to be more than the position. You have to be able to nurture your leaders and or your team, get them to accomplish whatever it is. I mean, you could have a really friendly team, but they don't do anything, right? Um, so those are some really good observations for us. Now, I have been several times in leadership roles or administration roles or positions where it required both. And I know that there are certain personality factors that go into our interactions. And I'm wondering if you could shed some light on some of that, because there are definitely personality issues in leadership.
Absolutely. Personality plays a very critical role in leadership, in the way you impact the team and so on. Now, there are several personality profiling mechanisms or tools out there. And, there is Bridget Myers assessment. But the one that I am licensed to do, in fact, conduct that evaluation is called DISC, DISC.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of DISC.
And
Tell us
Maxwell
a little.
has customized the DISC, and they call it Maxwell DISC assessment. But it's a
Okay.
concept of thing. Basically, concept says that most people fall in four primary categories of personality. D as in
Okay.
direct, dominating personality. Their dominating personality is they are direct, driven, goal oriented, very task focused, less patient, and so on. I people
Okay.
I people are more inspiring, more interactive. They are social. They want to be with people. They really
Mhm.
they value emotions. They value relationships, and they really want to take everyone together. But they could
Okay.
also be very distracted, and they are not very task oriented. So they can they can probably miss out on few things.
Okay.
S
So,
people are more stable personality, and
okay.
C people are more analytical, deep dive, expert kind of people.
Okay.
Okay,
So, how do you use that in helping people move into their leadership potential? How does that
sure.
figure?
So what happens is that first of all, no personality is bad personality, good or bad. Okay, it's not like D is the most suitable for leadership or C is most.
Hmm.
Every personality has the potential to become a great leader. So that is first thing, because in a team, in an organization, you need all the personality. You need all kinds of people, because imagine
Sure.
if a team, an organization had only D people, everybody will be making decisions, but there is nobody who really keeps the team together, or
Yeah.
gives the deep dive, does the deep dive, or works on a stable basis. Likewise, if everybody was C, everyone will be analyzing. There'll be analysis paralysis in the organization, and they won't be making any decisions. They won't be
Right.
good relationship. So all personalities are required, and they can be leveraged to create a great organization. For
Okay.
example, if you know that your team has got some S people and they deal with D a lot, you need to coach them or to deal with D in a more effective manner. For example, D people don't like a lot of chit chatting. They want to get to the
Uh,
point directly. They are more about tasks, projects.
right.
So when I or S person goes to D, I person will start with, "Hey, how is life going? How is your son was going to college, right? Okay, is he
Yeah.
already in college?" And D guy is thinking, "Wait a minute, I don't have time for the chit chat. Hello, I know I'm in the project step number 3. I want to know how step number 4 is going to be done. I don't
Right.
have, and we can
Right.
always talk later in in happy hours if you want to talk
Yeah.
about my
Right.
son's college."
They
And
can
D
learn how
person
to
when he
talk
goes
together.
yeah. And when D goes to I, same thing. And it goes straight to the point. It says, you know, Mr. I, where is what's the status of step number 4 of project number 3? And the I guy is
Yeah.
thinking, what is going on here? Hello, Mr.
Yeah.
Are you human? Can you start with a little bit emotional things? Did you know that my wife was sick last week? Did you ask about that? Do you know
Yeah.
what
So,
people are
so
feeling around us? Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is that it's not that one style is good or bad or one personality type is good or bad. It's a matter of being able to recognize those personality types and then call on, your different training or, facets and find a way to relate. Would that
Yes,
would that be
exactly.
right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got these personality types, and I doubt any team is perfect when it's starting out, but we all have to learn how to work together, and we all have to learn how to manage. And as someone who's managed teams myself, um, there that can be, you've heard the term herding cats, and that's what it sometimes feels like as a team leader. Wait a minute, there's chaos going on. So
Mhm.
I'm wondering, when you're dealing with team members, is there one type or characteristic of someone that makes them more difficult to manage as a team member than others? Are there some personality types or member types that are a little bit more slippery, if that makes sense?
Yes, yeah, yeah. So team management is really a challenging assignment. I know, and there are all different types of team members, and they can be some can be difficult and some can be easier to manage. But I would contend that the most difficult person to manage within the team is yourself.
Oh,
Yes. So, you yourself is the hardest person to manage, not the team members. Why? Because we use different yardstick for measuring our own performance versus other team members' performance. Okay. So if we set out, an expectation of how the work should be done, and if somebody doesn't meet the expectation, then we are pretty hard on them, or at least we are very explicit about the feedback.
hmm.
But if you do the same, whatever you committed and you didn't follow through, then we have all kinds of excuses why you couldn't do. So for example, so that is what if you can really follow through what you do is what brings integrity in you. And all the good leaders need to have high level of integrity. I have
Yeah.
had cases in my company. I was working for that multinational. There was a circular once that came. It said that our company is going through expense control. Everybody needs to travel economic class. That's okay. But if you go to a conference, you share rooms in a hotel, in the hotel.
which is
And
not something you're used to doing in
not something
industry.
that we actually like. Oh, I don't want to share room. Come on, this
Yeah,
guy knows a
yeah.
lot.
Yeah, in
But
higher education, we knew we were going to have to share rooms, but not in industry, particularly
not
those
right.
big
But
companies.
we grumbled, but we did it. But we flew economy class and we stayed in room sharing. But our vice president came by business class
Ah,
at company expense, and he stayed in a private suite at a company expense. So he wasn't showing high level of integrity. He wasn't showing
hmm,
discipline, self discipline, and he was using
hmm.
different yardstick for himself versus the rest of the group,
Yeah.
and
And the
that doesn't
message
do
he
very
was
good.
sending to everyone else was, well, I'm worth it, but you're not.
Right,
Yeah,
correct.
yeah, yeah.
So remember, nobody reaches the top alone, right? Even when the Mount Everest was conquered, there were two people who reached there. It was
That's
Edward
right.
Hillary
That's
and
right.
Tenzing. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's no lack of people who will be happy to point out your weaknesses if you ask. Um, but yeah, I and how do you or let me what is in your opinion the most this is a terrible question because it's really putting you on the spot. If you could only choose one quality that defined strong leadership, if you could only have one, what would that be, Ramesh?
I would say empathy. So understanding people, connecting skills. That is the thing. Connecting skills. Lot of leaders, they are very good in communication.
Mm-hmm.
They're great communicators, but they don't connect. In fact, John C. Maxwell wrote a book called Everyone Communicates, Few Connect.
Oh, okay. So how would you differentiate between communicating and connecting? What's the difference?
Yeah, so communication is about conveying your message, and they focus more on words and say body language and intonation. So I've been
Okay.
part of Toastmasters Club for 15 years now, and that is learning to communicate.
Okay.
And their communication involves learning how to do right verbal impact with body language, intonation, choice of words, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Also, being assertive communicator or being concise communicator, good presenter, good written
Mm-hmm.
communication. All of that is communication. But connecting is about understanding others' motivation, care about emotions, that and nurturing them, creating the faith. They say there are four principles of faith. Having faith in people. Okay, first
Oh.
principle is not many people have faith in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lack of faith right out there. In fact, everybody has a lack of confidence in some way or other. Those who,
Mm-hmm.
even the most accomplished speaker, doesn't really isn't the most confident person before going to the stage. They get a sense of nervousness. They say, wait, what if something
Yeah, you
happens?
hear about that, them getting
Yeah,
stage fright before they
yes.
go on. Yeah, sure.
even even though I'm in Toastmaster for 15 years, I still have that. So first is there's a lack of faith in people in themselves. Second,
Okay.
people lack people who have faith in them. Okay. It's like uh, when I was growing up, I wanted to be a magician, but my parents never encouraged. In fact, they said, well, I don't think you are good at me. I mean, I don't think that's something you should think about. They don't have faith in me. I really wanted to sing. I was, in fact, now I am beginning to pursue my passion of singing. Actually, I am part of a karaoke club now. But
Okay.
people didn't have faith in me at that time. Third thing is that if you have faith in others, people can figure it out. They can see through your body language, through your eye contact, through your expressions that yes, this guy has faith in me. You can't hide it.
Okay.
You don't have to be even explicit about it. If you have faith in someone, people can notice it. And
Yeah.
fourth thing is
Okay.
people will surprise you with their output if they have faith, if they feel that you have faith in them. That is what I feel like leadership is all about. Leadership
Okay.
needs to get people to surprise them with their maximal output,
Okay.
and
And
by communicating.
how do you and this is an overbroad question, but how do you establish if you haven't if it doesn't come naturally to you, how do you learn how to really connect with people? Because we aren't all born with that ability. And I
Correct.
hear that question a lot about LinkedIn. How do I get people to engage? How do I get them to participate when I post something? So I'm
Yeah.
asking you this very unfair question, Ramesh,
No, that's
um,
fine.
about
That's fine.
okay.
Yeah. So actually, by the way, I do a lot of one-on-one consulting, and most of my clients are more C-type clients who are deep dive, very difficult to connect with others, kind of. And this
Oh
is one of the
yeah.
most popular topic that they want me to coach them on. So
Okay.
it's completely fair what you're asking. This is very, very good.
Okay.
So one of the things that people have difficulty is, how do I even go approach someone I don't know very well? What should I ask? And so on, right? How you have to get warm up your relationship through some engaging conversations. How do you come up with
Mm-hmm.
engaging conversations? One of the key thing I learned is, don't ask close-ended questions.
Mm,
So
mm-hmm.
people say, "How was your day?" Answer is good.
Fine. Yeah,
Close.
good.
Close. Now, what are you saying to say? So, yeah,
It's like
how?
asking it's like asking your teenage son, how did school go?
Yeah,
Fine.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. Or you say, how is the temperature today? Temperature at your place, and somebody says 72 degrees Fahrenheit. That's it. No, it is so accurate. Now you can't even go further than that. So
Right.
what am I supposed to say? Oh, so they have difficult. So one of the key tip is to ask open-ended questions. Ask, what energizes you?
Mm-hmm.
What part of the day today really made you happy?
Okay.
Yeah. What kind of projects really you're passionate about? Tell me more about your
Mm-hmm.
passion. So those are kind
Mm-hmm.
of questions which people let people think, and they'll respond, and they will say, "Yeah, this guy is asking question which I have to think about," and
Yeah, and
that
I can
creates
see
a
where
very
that would
engaging.
open up I can see where that might open up a dialogue,
Yes.
and the opportunity to really converse at a
Yeah.
deeper level.
Exactly, exactly. That's the first step towards developing deeper connections. And of course, second is to understand the personality and be very mindful about how to connect with them according to their personality. If it is a
Oh,
S-type person, you have to give a lot of space to the people. You
mm-hmm.
can't really start being so aggressively connecting with them. They will feel a little bit threatened.
Yeah, okay.
But I people, you want to connect right away. You want to talk a lot about emotions and all this group and team activity, and they love it. So that kind of the
Yeah,
C
because every
people. Yeah. So
go
sorry. Go
ahead.
ahead.
No,
So
I was
C
just I was
people,
just
I was saying is that you got to respect their expertise. They love it. So you got to appreciate the knowledge they have and the expertise
mm-hmm.
they have, and you would have to appreciate that. Think that, I don't know what would we do without you kind of. So they love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. Yeah, and I think your team will surprise you, if you give them that opportunity. I wanted to take a minute and stop and ask you a question because Deborah had a question, and I
Sure.
think it might relate to a lot of people. She says, do you have, and I know that Deborah is hiring independent contracts with her business. That's one of the things she's dealing with. So she says, do you have tips to hire for personality, especially tips for hiring independent contractors in terms of personality?
Yes. So actually, I am completely. I know that this is a huge new trend. More companies are using personality test as a criteria for hiring.
Okay.
So some people use it as a filtering mechanism. Some people use it after they give the offer. They still go through personality test before somebody joins, so that
Mm-hmm.
they can really have the right team assignments and team, some kind of mentors assigned to the right folks and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it is
Mm-hmm.
absolutely recommended. There is a Maxwell Disc assessment. It takes only 30 minutes for the assessment. It's a paid assessment.
Oh, I didn't realize that. That's quick.
Yeah. It's a 30-minute it takes online, and it's a paid assessment. And I am licensed behavioral profiler on Maxwell Disc, and it creates kind of a 25-page report PDF document that I walk through once you go through the test. And it gives, what I love about that report is that it not only gives one personality type. Everyone has a mix of personality types, right? I'm an I and S, but I also have some C, but I'm low on
Mm-hmm.
D. So depending on the situation, people, hour of the day, you might be exhibiting different
Mm-hmm.
personalities, right? So this report gives what kind of personality exhibit in what kind of situation, and in fact, it has got multiple behavioral profiles. One
Okay.
under stress, how do you do under stress? How do you do under default situation? How do you
Oh,
do under
good. Yeah.
so
Yeah,
very,
that's all.
very, very thorough. And I certainly recommend to go through such an assessment.
So Ramesh, if someone didn't have access to this kind of assessment themselves, could they refer someone to you for assessment? Um,
Yes,
and get
yes,
that kind of feedback. So
yeah,
if you have a team and
mhm,
you value certain properties, or that your team is lacking and it needs to round out a little bit,
yeah,
then they could call on you as a consultant to help
yes.
them with it. That's
So I
good
want
to
to
know.
add that it is not only individual assessment. So a lot of companies are using team assessment. So
Oh yeah.
they find that there is a team problem. It looks like things people are not gelling. There are more conflicts coming. So they
Hmm.
invite this assessment for the whole team, including the manager and the team
Oh,
or
that's great.
director and the team, whatever. And then if you do this assessment for the team, then you know why some of the conflicts are coming. There may be subgroups
Hmm.
getting formed for, and you can find out why. You can go to the root of the problems and you can solve team problems.
Yeah.
This really helps.
Yeah, so this is something that can be used on an individual basis or on a team basis. And I'm
Yeah.
looking here. Well, we have a couple of comments here too that I think are comments about some of the things you said, Ramesh. Amit says that knowing yourself, and why you're doing this is basic to leadership. That's core to leadership,
Right.
and I think we all have blind spots, that we have that can cause
Yes.
that.
Right.
And
Right.
then um, silhouette thought your comment on that good leaders must show a high level of integrity.
Mhm.
She said absolutely, and I work with Silhouette, so I can tell her that's something that's important to her, and that integrity is a big deal.
Right.
And then Deborah was asking you about or commenting on the John Maxwell book. Everyone Communicates, Do You Connect? And is that one that they can get, like at Amazon or any place or?
Yeah, any place. Yes, Amazon is perfect, good source for that. Most of the John Maxwell books are available. Two books certainly I suggest for sure. One book is called 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. This is my
Oh,
Bible for personal development. Absolute must read. And the second is this Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. It looks like this. This is the book.
I'm going to make a note of those because when I do challenges or things like that, I like to give books as prizes,
Right,
and those two look like they could be really great
right.
for people.
Yeah.
So we have a little bit of time left, and I'm going to encourage our audience to keep asking questions. But
So
in the
I can respond to Amit's a little bit more. Amit made a very
sure,
good comment about self-awareness by the leader.
yeah, yeah,
So there is something called self-awareness of your own strengths, weaknesses, your
uh-huh,
vulnerabilities, your passion, right?
hmm,
And good leaders, great leaders have very high level of self-awareness. They know exactly what their strengths are. They know exactly what their weaknesses are. They know their passion, their interests. So they
hmm,
can really orient their leadership style and the team culture accordingly. Okay. So they, and one thing I have seen is that um, they don't just stay at the laurels of their strengths. They really keep strengthening the strengths. you know for example, one of my strengths is personal organization. I'm very highly organized person. I use a lot of good systems and tools to keep myself organized. And, but I don't stop at.
not my. That's definitely not my gift, Ramesh. So it's good to know that it's yours. I'll know where to go if I need help with that.
Please, I'll be happy. I've helped several people on that. So that's, in fact, that is one of my part of my course content as well. I teach that.
Okay,
Anyway,
okay.
so that is a good thing. But I do always keep looking for new ways of improving that organizational skills, because it is not like there is end to it. Likewise, same thing, communication. I was in Toastmaster for 15 years. I'm probably a good communicator, but that doesn't mean that that's an end of journey. There is no end of journey for communication skills. You can
Hmm.
keep learning, keep practicing.
Sure.
So you have to keep working on your strength as well. A lot of people think, "Hey, I'm good at this, so I'll teach you what you want," but I'm done with
Right.
this. That's the
Right.
wrong thinking. You have to be learning continually.
Okay. Yeah, and I think you're right about that. And most people who are very accomplished seem to understand that it doesn't stop when you get out of college. In fact, that's kind of the key to get in. You know, that's the key to open the door to more learning. Which would I have some college professors who would be very happy to hear me say that. Because they always said, in college we teach you how to learn, and that's so true.
Yes.
And I wonder, I don't want to get through this and not have time to talk about this. I know that you are teaching through a university right now, or you have a course that's available through a university, and I think that people would be really interested in that. So I wonder if you could talk about it a little bit.
Sure. So I have to clarify this. University is course is more like self-paced course. It is not a live course, but I do
Okay.
live office hours for the students who go through the
Okay.
course and they have any questions and all. I do live office hours twice a month.
Okay.
So I had developed this 6 week live leadership development course. This is I developed from scratch after doing a market survey of about 30 professionals, working professionals, understanding their challenges, and of course based on my own experiences as well.
Right.
And when university approached me for offering a certificate course, they for continuing education. So it is not a part of semester or anything like that, but it's like continuing education. It's a 1 unit certification course, which so certificate is provided by the university, which is an accredited university based in Irvine. So I launched
Okay.
this.
And they do get a
uh,
certificate for it. They are
Yes,
eligible for a certificate. Good.
exactly, exactly. And
Oh,
it's
and I
about
see for those.
10 hours of work that is required by the student, at least 10 hours. I feel like
Okay.
it's more than 10, but at least 10. And so it may
Okay.
take a few weeks, maybe a month to complete at your self pace.
Okay. And they do have access to you through the office hours. And Rusty just dropped in the URL for registering for the course.
Right.
So people can see that. And I know, Ramesh, that you have a newsletter or anything that people could get to better understand a little bit about what you do, like a newsletter or a gift or something that we can
Yeah,
point people
sure.
to?
I do have some. So if you go to my website, there is a free gift link there. But I've also provided a separate link to my free gift, and it's a 25-point checklist for leadership basics. Actually, so first, maybe if you want to start making impact as a leader, it's called 25 ways of leading others. So I've
Okay.
already
Oh,
done
that's
this.
great.
Yeah, so you should be able to download that and get some value out of it for sure.
That
I am
checklist sounds great.
Yeah, that's right. So that's what I think I've given a URL for that. You can.
Yeah, and I think Rusty is dropping in the information on how to get that too. So this is a pre-recorded course, but they can talk to you during office hours to get feedback on what they've done, right? So it's recorded, but then you have the office hours for
Yeah,
interaction. Okay.
exactly.
And then I know you have that other course that's coming up in October, and I was
Yes.
wondering about that.
Very nice, very good question. I'm going to be teaching live to the live audience. Of course, I do it through Zoom right now. We are not
Mhm.
doing face to face, but it is going to be a 6 week course. Each week, a 2 hour class, and there is some homework that I provide. So the idea is this: that in this 6 week course, you can get all the basic components to improve your leadership impact. Okay. I call it
Okay.
ignite your leadership in six
Yeah,
weeks.
yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And my the way I do it, Demand, is that I have a workbook that people fill out after each class. So this is based on the learning from the class. There are some set of assessments, some set of case studies, a part of workbook, and that really prompts people to think and reflect as to their current levels and current leadership
Mhm,
styles, and come up with some growth areas that they should improve on. So if
mhm.
you do this workbook after every class, at the end of 6 weeks, you already have kind of individualized leadership development plan for yourself. And I
Oh,
offer
that's
to do one-on-one consulting for 1 hour free as part of the course to go through that
okay.
field workbook so that you can come up with concrete action items.
That's terrific. Yeah, I can really see the appeal of that. So that by the time they finish with this, they have a lot more insight into themselves as leaders and where they might want to focus on developing a little bit more, right?
Yes, yes,
Okay, well
exactly.
that sounds great. And I'm looking down here. Okay, Rusty has he's dropped the link for the checklist. And Rusty, if you could also drop the link for the website, that would be great for Ramesh's website. That's the Quantum Vision Consulting website. So if you can make sure that's dropped. And Ramesh, we still have a few minutes. So, I'm looking here. Rusty just dropped that. So we're good. And Silhouette has just been loving what you said. She says, learning truly should never end. Yeah. And I think that's something that we all buy into. So we have a few more minutes. Would you like to, oh, I know what I wanted to ask you, because this is, and Silhouette and Rusty both work with me. So they're gonna be laughing off screen about this. Um, but I tend to find myself stretched too thin because I overcommit. And this isn't something that I just do once. This is a pattern with me where I overcommit. And oh, Deborah was asking, oh, Deborah has a question about your leadership program in October, whether it's certified.
Yes, so that certification is by my own consulting company. I do give certificate. Yes.
Okay, great, great. So my question is, do you have any tips for people who just typically overcommit? I mean, it's like I never met a new idea that I didn't like. So if someone says, oh, can you help me out with this, I'm like, oh, sure, I'll be happy to. So how do those of us who perpetually overcommit avoid that, or curb that a little bit?
Okay. So there are 2 or 3 tips I can provide. First of all, a lot of people commit and they take a lot more time or it drags on because that commitment is not consistent with their passion. Okay.
Mm,
So whatever you commit, you should assess it. Is it something that really I'm passionate about? Is it something that, if you are like an introvert, don't want to talk to anyone, and you sign up for a world debate tour or something like that, it is
right,
going to
right.
drain you a lot. It will drain you completely. It will stress you
Yeah.
out, and you will be taking a lot longer to complete than what normally other person. So first is that always try to assess against passion. Second is prioritize. Now prioritization is always a challenge. I faced it all my life. Why do I prioritize? One thing I learned about is the concept of importance versus urgency. Okay, every item
Important
that
to
you
get. What was the second one?
important
Importance
versus
versus.
urgency.
Oh, okay.
Urgency. So every item that you are asked to commit, you should assess for importance and for urgency. Now, high importance, high urgency items, of course, are no brainers. They're the highest priority.
Hmm.
And low importance, low urgency is always the lowest priority. Always
Hmm.
confusion comes in other two. High importance, low urgency versus low
Hmm.
importance, high urgency. Lot of the items that come to us, they are urgent. Everybody says, "Oh, this has to
Hmm.
be done in 2 hours." So,
Right,
oh, we have to drop all the thing we're doing and we have to complete this in two
right.
hours. But is it important? Half the time,
Yeah.
urgent items that we do are not important. So if you do the whole urgent thing all day, then at the end of the day, you'll have a pile of important items that you should have done, you couldn't do.
That didn't get
Now
done.
you're overcommitted and you are stressed and you are working late hours,
Yeah.
you're not spending time with family, all of that stuff. So really the key is to assess the urgency versus importance. So if somebody asks, this is something that needs to be done in 2 hours, and you look at it and see, does it really, is it really important from organizational goals point of view, team goals point of view, my personal goals point of view? If it's not important, then why is it that urgent? Push back, ask,
Hmm.
why is it required in 2 hours? Well, my manager said so. Well, ask your manager, why is it required in 2 hours? Yeah. And ultimately they might come back and say, well, yeah, it's not necessarily 2 hours. Yeah, you can do it by tomorrow. You have to push back, you have to ask, why
Yeah.
is it
Yeah.
urgent? You have to question the urgency and always try to prioritize high importance item first, then high urgent items.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that is what is the second tip of mine. Third tip is always give room for margin, because we know that we always take more time than we think we will take.
Right.
Always. This is human nature. I
Yep.
can do it in one day. Actually, it's supposed to take 3 days, but we think we can do it in one day. So when you
That's
know
right.
that, then you got to give some margin to your commitment.
Okay.
So always say, whatever you estimate, try to have some margin so that it is going to be less stressful for you. You can get it, you can do as you promise, your integrity will increase.
Hmm.
And yeah, so that's
Hmm.
one of
That
the three
makes
tips I have.
sense. That makes sense. Yeah, and particularly the part about how we feel about it,
Yeah,
because those things that we're not passionate about, or we don't think are fun, or we don't see any relationship with, those do drain us. And I know those are the things that just make me feel like I'm just stretched, and it's too hard. I remember, and this is going back many, many years, I used to work for a military contractor, and they did this presentation for the managers one day, and they brought in all these stuffed monkeys, and like the toys, not real monkeys, but they had somebody come up to the front of the room, and then they each walked up and they gave him a monkey. And it was like, this monkey is, you've got to call the dentist, today, in the next hour. It's really important. And then somebody else would bring up another one, and somebody else would bring up another one. And so the lesson was, well, if you accept all these monkeys that everybody else gives you, you never have time. And I always think about that
Yeah,
because, it's, people can assign you things, but you have to accept them too.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I think
exactly.
that's where I don't have the right button to push to say, wait a minute,
Yeah,
hold everything. Let's think this through.
yeah,
Yeah. So Ramesh, we're going to be out of time pretty soon. And I wanted to make sure that, that anybody who had any additional questions got them in. And also I just wanted to give you, a few minutes to just see if there are any other tips that you would like to provide to the people who are listening, something just, if you were just going to give them one more tip, what would that be?
yeah. So I would say that long-term tenacious outlook is what I recommend, I advise people to have. People seem to be more transactional, short term. I want to get this done
Mm-hmm.
in 2 months, but there are things that are a lot more important, which you should have a long-term outlook for. What is your long-term goal? And once you've got that long-term goal, you got to be tenacious about it. You absolutely have to work towards it, and
Mm-hmm.
you have to get it. So that is something that you know they say that Rome wasn't built in a day, right?
Yep.
And
That's what they
when
say.
Mahatma Gandhi, he started Indian freedom struggle, it was a 25 years journey, a 20-year journey
Yeah.
to do the freedom struggle. I mean, if there was no tenacity and long-term outlook, you you would give up. He would have given up many years ago, but ultimately they
Yeah,
succeeded.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that is one thing that I encourage people to have as much as possible.
That long term goal. And I think anyone who is an entrepreneur, if they don't understand how important tenacity is when they start out, they learn real quick, because it's kind of about, well, your first few years especially are about learning what you can handle and what's going to knock you over for good, what's going to knock you down.
Right.
So Ramesh, I appreciate your coming on board. You got some good questions, and it looks like people will be checking out those courses of yours. And Deborah also asked about the certification. And Rusty just dropped in your LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Um,
So LinkedIn is the right place for to connect with me. Yeah.
yeah. And I'm going to jump in here and remind everybody that when you go to connect with Ramesh, don't just send him one of those generic requests that says, I'd like to add you to my professional network on LinkedIn. Tell him, go to his profile and go to connect. And if you don't see a connect button, click more, and that'll show you the connect, and add that personal note. It gives you the opportunity to add a note. So tell Ramesh that you saw him today, and that's why you would like to connect, because that's how he knows you. And you're much more likely to have someone respond to your invitation if you give them, a quick message on how to do that. So we are pretty much out of time. I did want to mention that next week I will be here by myself. And we're going to be talking about how to write a LinkedIn profile that sells while you sleep. So how to create that profile that is going to have people eager, have people wanting to take the next step in your sales process so that they get closer to you. So, the information's out there, but I will be sending out notices too. And Ramesh's course is up there. Is there a deadline as to when they can register for the university course, or can they do that at any
No, they
time,
can do it at their own pace.
at their own
Anytime
pace.
they can
Okay.
enter. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, good. So y'all, there are all these great ways for you to connect with Ramesh and follow up with him. I will be sending out this recording and the links tomorrow, so you do get another chance. And if you know someone else who would be interested in this topic, who needs help in managing their team or developing their leadership skills in the technical arena, you know, you will definitely want to connect with Ramesh. I know that when I was back working with engineering students, that was something that was very important to engineering firms. They wanted to be able to tell which students would do well in management and leadership and which wouldn't. And in technology, it really shows up because having those technical skills is what gets you promoted to a certain point, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have the managerial or the leadership skills. So if you are in the technical arena or not, but you play in that sandbox, I think you're really going to want to check out what Ramesh has to offer. So any last points, Ramesh?
No, so I'll end with one point that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And anytime you interact with people, you're already influencing people. So whether you know it or not, you're already a leader. So go
Oh,
for
that's
it. And
great.
thank
That
you.
is great, Ramesh. Yeah, we are all leaders, so we can ignite the leader within. I get it. Okay, listen, guys, we will get out the recording and the links tomorrow, and go ahead and connect with Ramesh. Let him know you heard him here, and then go check out those courses. Thanks, Ramesh. Hey,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Until next week. Bye now.